Hello everyone, and welcome to my first book review. So this is actually the book that I've been reading in the past month. So it's The Productivity Project by Chris Bailey. So as you may suspect from the title, it's a book about productivity. And these are basically the collection of wisdom that Chris Bailey found after he experimented with productivity techniques for about a year. And the reason it's interesting to me is because this is a more modern take on what productivity is. So I have to admit, I'm not like an expert in productivity field, or I would be making money running workshops. But as the nature of my work goes as a scientist, I need to be able to do, project management and time management and all those fun things. So I've been looking into that for the past 2 or 3 years to help me work more efficiently. And the problem I've always found about that is that essentially the way they think about how you manage project or how you manage your time is kind of not caught up with the fact that our lives now are kind of more unstructured than it was before. And I guess it's especially true with the work in science, because we decide on what project we want to do, we decide on how we want to do it, we decide on when we want to do it and for how long. So essentially, like, scientists is the one who structured their own work, and usually like project management ideas and time management ideas don't really take that into account. With this book though, Chris Bailey kind of go with a bit more high-level approach. So he talks a lot more, not necessarily about how you manage a certain project, but also how you manage your life and your attention and your energy so that you can work productively and not necessarily working long hours to get to the milestone that you want to get to. There, I dropped a project management term right there. Also, another thing that I like is he actually did touch on some of the research that has been done on, say, like procrastination and things like that. Like, the book is not written in a scientific way in any way. This is like more of a distilled account of a guy who actually like tried things out, which in some ways is pretty scientific. But because it's like exactly one sample size, you kind of have to be a bit careful about how you can draw conclusions. But he does draw support from like the body of literature that's out there that's related to productivity. So that's also interesting. But it's not that heavy on that part at all. So it's actually pretty fun to read. I really appreciate that. After days of reading very technical stuff, I do want to read something that doesn't have, like, I don't have to engage like 75% plus of my brain to understand. If there's going to be any downside though, like if you really want a quick fix for a certain part of, your routine that's not going very well, and you want it to be more efficient, and you want to look at what other people have done to make it more efficient, this is not really the book for you. This is more like how you structured your life. It doesn't go into too much details about how exactly you should set up your system. And there's a very good reason for that. And that's because, your system will depend on you and will depend on the nature of your work. Like how much control do you actually have in your day? What do you need to do? And so, the system has to adapt for it. And Chris is very open about that. And that's also what I like. It's just, essentially his message is that be as minimalistic as possible and also be as adaptable as possible. So that's why it's like this book is really just on the high level idea and not on much of the technique at all. But, for PhD students and anyone else who's actually have unstructured life, I think this is a really good book to start if you feel like you want to have a bit more control of what you're doing on a day-by-day basis. And with that, I'll see you guys next time.